Greetings, or what is up, and a very warm welcome to the channel on this Friday, the 27th of December 2019. The sun is hiding, and the magpie is casting. Coming to you guys right now with a live 1 versus 1 battle on Crossing in the Woods, featuring Spawning in the South, playing as the United Kingdom forces, utilizing the Advanced Emplacements Regiment Commander. It's going to be PanzerGrenadierangrifen. And Spawning in the North, playing as the Wehrmacht forces, yet to choose a commander. It's going to be STHNMelon. So yeah, hopefully a very interesting game. I mean, all of the pieces are set here for this to be a good game. We've got PanzerGrenadierangrifen, who's a fantastic player. Melon, somebody I don't know, but if he's being matched up against Angrifen, one must imagine he's got some pretty decent Company of Heroes 2 skills. Got the chops for the matchup. And let's see, he's rolling with, that's like mechanized something geezer. German mechanized doctrine, there we go. This is the Elephant Geezer, who I want to say is like something anti-tank. Jaeger Armor Doctrine, okay, fair enough. And the Elite Troops Doctrine, I believe it is, yes. Not often we get to see Jaeger Armor on the roster. This used to be a favourite commander of mine for using with Stugs. A combination of spotting scopes plus Stugs, ever potent and good fun. And the Regal Anti-Tank Mine is fun if you get one off. Stuka Bombing Strike can be useful, and the Elephant Tank Destroyer, it can just be fun to have on the roster. Kind of more of a 2v2 plus kind of unit, but on a map like Crossing in the Woods, if the game goes late enough, it can flourish. And actually could be quite potent against UKF. It is probably one of the only units in the game that makes a Firefly a little bit worried. So, yeah, we'll see. I suppose as this game gets underway, we've got a Bren carrier, going to be able to displace this MG42 here. I'll just take a moment here to say that I had a very Merry Christmas. It was fantastic fun. Unfortunately cut short, which is how come I'm casting right now. But it was really, really fun. Basically, I went to a farm in the middle of British countryside, in the middle of nowhere. No mobile phone signal, no internet, no, like, plumbed water. We did have electricity, which was a surprise to me. I was told that we wouldn't have electricity, but we did have some. And it was just a really awesome Christmas, you know, like open fires and like just literally hundreds of acres of British countryside to explore. And the weather was so warm that and sunny even that it was really nice. So I managed to get out on the quad bike and just blaze around a few hundred acres of British countryside, which, I mean, that is a pretty good Christmas day, to be honest. I had a lot of fun. It was just wonderful. Saw a lot of friends and family, and yeah, had a really good time. Unfortunately, I did have to come back to town a little bit early, but on the plus side, that's going to give me this opportunity to cast this game here. So let's pay a little bit of attention now. STHN, Melon has gone ahead and chosen the Elite Troops Doctrine. Faust's going to connect with this Vickers upgraded Bren carrier just now. But it seems like Angrifen would be lucky to get a kill on that one. He's being a little bit aggressive with it here. Sorry, Angrifen, it's Angrifen's. Melon would be lucky to get a kill on it, my bad. Looks like a fairly standard composition here for Melon. Got MG42 supporting 3 squads of Grenadiers here. Elite Troops Doctrine, much maligned when it initially released. Uh-oh, hang on a second now. Oh, it's using its own repair ability. Oh, that's pretty damn cool. Nice, that's going to fix the engine and give it enough HP here. Oh, going to try and come for a Faust here. These Grenadiers lunging forwards, but they are not going to be able to get it unless Angrifen falls asleep at the wheel here. But yeah, as I was saying, Elite Troops, much maligned on its initial release because it just had an ability, for those of you that remember, or for those of you that don't even, it had an ability that you could just click on the ability, spend some, I believe it was some munitions and a little bit of fuel, or I actually can't remember the cost, and just click on a unit and it would just give that unit a stack of experience. So if you used it on an infantry unit, obviously they don't need as much experience to level up, then you could get like a couple of levels of veterancy off of a single click. If you used it on a Panzer unit, you'd often get a level of veterancy. And people were sort of quite upset about this ability because it broke the essential dynamic of the game, which is that units vet up by being effective in combat. And it was a very polarizing commander. It was also the first commander to have the Tiger Ace ability, and this was back in the days when the Tiger Ace was free. And it was kind of silly, to be honest. The thing was, when you used Tiger Ace, it would like destroy your resource income for the rest of the game, or until it died, I believe. And you only ever get one, so if it died, you didn't get any more. But getting a free level 3 Tiger was insane, combined with the other benefits provided by the commander, made it very strong. So, haven't really seen that much of this commander since the changes to make it into just a regular part of the game, which is balanced and cool, rather than being like game-breakingly like crazy. So what do we get now? We get the stun grenades, we get the stormtroopers, we get the G43 upgrade, we get the Panzer attack, and we get the Tiger Race. So that is actually quite a well-balanced commander. A little bit of something there for your infantry, a little bit of something there for your tanks, and that's all very nice. So we're gonna have to see. Stormtroopers are being brought in. They can, of course, emerge from structures, and they have chosen to emerge right here. I wonder if we'll see G43 upgrades popping up on some of these Grenadiers as the game goes on. This Bren carrier has been really nicely microed. PanzerGrenadierangrifen fending off many times this Bren carrier's cost in manpower of units by just kiting and using the Vickers K upgraded DPS of this thing to tax the Axis advance, make those Germans pay for every footstep they take into the south of this map. And that is effective. Now these stormtroopers find themselves under the... Look at that brutal firepower. The Tommies in cover, of course, also getting their rate of fire bonus there. So, yeah, very nice stuff. Looks like it's going to be a 222 scout car here for Melon, and you've got to like that choice. It's going to be a really useful answer to deal with this very annoying Bren carrier, whilst also being effective at policing the British infantry. So that's going to be very nice. Looks like Melon here, though, about to establish a phase of double fuel control once these Grenadiers get the job done over here. And anytime as the Wehrmacht player you can get away with double fuel control in the early stages of the game, that is always a rare and very welcome luxury. Looks like a little bit of the, what are these, the 20-pounder Hooners from the UKF base going to be lobbing some shells forward onto the front here. That means, of course, that the fire control package has been done on a Tommy squad. Here it is. Is that a BOFORs? Oh my goodness, I've seen it all now. An actual BOFORs appears to be being used in the wild on the ladder. The BOFORs are rare and reclusive beast. Oh no, please let him build it. Don't kill these engineers. No. Please let him build it. Okay, alright. It looks like this 222 will actually be sacrificed in desperation and will not stop this BOFORs from going up. Remember, Tommies can also construct it. Jesus. Now here comes a wave of infantry. The G43 upgrade appears to be finished on these stormtroopers. The infantry section goes down. That's 2 units now that have died, like, fighting over whether this BOFORs gets to go up or not. The 222, and now the Tommies go down. These Royal Engineers desperately skirting around. Are there any other British forces that can reinforce? It doesn't look like it. The BOFORs will be defeated. Oh my god, suppressing fire comes down off of this level 3 Bren carrier. And some 3 Tommies going to come on in here and try and get constructing this. Incendiary grenade comes down, and that will be that. The BOFORs is denied. PanzerGrenadierangrifen takes a massive early game gambit here. Researches the BOFORs, which you never see. You have to feel like this is kind of an adaptation to Crossing in the Woods. Because the central line of this map is so open, a BOFORs can be super devastating. If he'd have got that BOFORs up, basically the Wehrmacht player would not have had a look at controlling this area of the map for like some time, basically. I mean, at that point, you're basically forced to get like, I don't know, like, I mean, you can try and work it down with mortars. Oh no, is he going to lose the Grenadiers here? Bren carrier on the prowl, but not going to get it. Another 222 going to come out. For all the same reasons that the first 222 was good, this second one will be too. That will be a squad wipe, though. So, alright. Melon here sustaining some losses. PanzerGrenadierangrifen likewise. Losing that BOFORs, because that represents a BOFOR research. Some of the cost of the BOFOR, and the Tommy squad that died trying to get it up. And it looks like he may also, yeah, he's going to lose his Bren carrier here. About time that thing died. That was a ridiculously effective Bren carrier. And when the smoke settles from this BOFORs gambit, it looks like we have a UKF player with 3 squads of Tommies. He tries for the BOFORs again, but insta-denied there. Did he lose the resources for that? I feel like he didn't, but if he did, that's horrendous. This is actually the Advanced Emplacement Regiment, so this is all feeding into the BOFORs command... Sorry, the BOFORs strat here. I really like what I'm seeing from PanzerGrenadierangrifen, but the execution just hasn't quite paid off yet. I'm not saying that he necessarily like flunked, or what was the word I'm looking to? Like failed? I'm not saying that he failed the execution. I don't know what has happened to my vocabulary just now. It's just that he wasn't able to get that BOFORs down in the position that he wanted to. And that is so game-changing. This is a very different timeline that we're watching now than if he was able to establish that BOFOR. And it was pretty close. A lot of clutch decisions from both players underpinning whether or not that BOFOR went up. So, Alright, 222 going to pursue, as they are wont to do. This 222 rapidly up to 2 stars, having taken out that Bren carrier. So that's nice. Whoa, of course, yeah, the scoreline differential opening up as well. The double fuel control has been maintained for a sizable amount of time, so you have to feel like PanzerGrenadierangrifen firmly the underdog now. This is going to be a rough game for him to get back into. Now, he does have a Vickers gun. He is going to try and disrupt this fuel income for the Axis player, which is really nice. The composition is small, but it is balanced for the British player. So Angrifen has the tools he needs here. 3 squads of core infantry, backed up by Royal Engineers with a Vickers gun and an AT gun. So these ingredients, he has the potential here. He grabs a VP, that's going to cut the bleed in 3. And that's also super relevant. 222 here are going to be tasked with shoving aside this Vickers gun, and that it will. Actually, the Vickers gun going to bravely opt to reposition into the building. Is he going to go for the building? No, he's just going to reposition here. Okay, this 222 kind of in a bit of jeopardy now. Vickers guns do some damage to very lightly armored vehicles like this. Oh yikes! Is he going to? He's going to get that one out of there, but just. Additional combat going on in the middle. I can hear Sten guns firing. And somehow Angrifen here able to secure the middle of the map and one of the fuel points, which is going to serve him in good stead. Pack gun is added into the roster here for Melon, so both players here with the technology they need to deal with the more advanced units from the opposing faction. No sign of company command post. Angrifen does have the fuel. Okay, there it comes just now. Around about the sort of standard timing you'd expect for a British player who's had this kind of a start and income. 222 in desperate need of repair, but still just for now kiting and dealing with infantry. Vickers gun finds an MG42. Yeah, that will be dead. The Vickers gun's such a heavy hitter. And this is a lovely position for this Vickers gun, actually. He needs to target these Grenadiers. I don't know what he's targeting. He's targeting the Stormtroopers right now. But if he can catch these Grenadiers as they try to move in on the Vickers gun, that will be nice. The Vickers gun now quite low. Ooh, he's going to risk redeploying it. I'm not sure about that. 222 going to creep back in here. And that should be a Vickers gun down. Is he going to get away with that one on a pixel? He is. Angrifen there, possibly getting a bit lucky. Really eking out maximum value out of that Vickers gun, but a little dangerous perhaps to do so. There might be a timeline that exists where he loses that one. Okay, I'm quite impressed though. Angrifen getting some work done now. He has, for now, stopped the bleed, has the Axis player stalled on the doorstep of their base. This won't last long, but these Tommies are going to trade for as long as possible. And the company command post will be finished by now. So we're going to get to see a fuel unit in about a minute at current fuel income rates for Angrifen. I mean, assuming he wants to buy either a Centaur or a rather lovely Cromwell, rather splendid Cromwell. This is a bunker. This is an MG42 bunker going to be holding this flank. Very interesting. I wonder if, how much does a BOFOR cost these days? 30 fuel, 280 manpower. Okay. Looks like the quarter-pounder AT gun going to try and lock up this this bunker here, taking some shots at long range here. This bunker ought not to be long for this world, but the AT gun really not finding any hit. There we go, now finding some hits. And it looks like both players have been able to navigate their way into the mid-game. Let's just check the tech here for the Axis player. Battle Phase 2 has completed. No sign of support armor core, possibly indicating that they want to go for Battle Phase 3. That would make sense. This is a Tiger Tank Commander. So heavy Panzer core there. Very appealing. MG42 offered up to the table here. This one will be a freebie. This is a lot of Tommies with 5-man squad upgrade and varying amounts of veterancy. If he can get some Bren guns going on this lot, then things will be getting rather nasty for Melon, who despite having access to this commander, actually is kind of hemorrhaging a lot of squads over this last phase of play. He loses another squad there, actually. The roster for Melon is starting to look a little bit depleted here. This is not a lot of units here. Somehow, Angrifen, despite having lost out on his BOFORs Gambit and getting punished through the early game, and not having the lion's share of fuel income through those stages of the game, is just muscling this Vermac player around right now. Melon has time, of course. 200 odd tickets in the score department, well, 140 ticket lead, essentially. That's an 160 ticket lead. Oh no, doing math live on stream, always risky. I normally get away with it, but no, you can't be losing another squad. Jeez, this like blob of Tommies is just gunning down Axis units. It's going to be an Ostwind. Okay, so a support armor core was constructed. Here it is. And that's going to be an Ostwind here. Melon feels like they need to put their fuel on the table, as it were, right now. Cannot wait to go for Tiger. And I sort of agree, really. I mean, this is an incredibly depleted Axis roster. A BOFORs is going to be constructed at this forward location. PanzerGrenadierangrifen, this is the plan. Stick to the plan. Yeah, the plan was fortifications doctrine and building BOFORs. Now with this many Tommies, that's a lot of Tommies. So this BOFOR is going to be built very rapidly, and Melon is going to find out about it here. And that is a fallback. You cannot leave your base from this direction, sir. I would suggest falling your units back. Okay. Wow. I mean, if anything, this BOFOR is even further forward. You can see the dotted line indicating its range. They tend to be able to shoot just a little bit further, so getting out here to the west for the Axis player pretty much is not an option anymore. There's no indirect fire unit that can really deal with this. Oh my goodness. Alright, he's going to dig in here. PanzerGrenadierangrifen here. British forces doing British forces things. We've got a mortar pit! Being built within range of the Axis base. Mmm, tasty. Oh, I like it. Oh, he can hit here. He can hit here. Oh, Angrifen. Oh, okay, the Ostman going to probe in here, but I mean, it's essentially going to lose against this BOFOR, all other things being equal. I mean, with the quarter-pounder AT gun here as well. Oh, no. And now the mortar tube is up. And I believe, does garrisoning it increase its rate of fire? Is that a thing? It used to be. What does this do? Improved fortification. Oh, yikes. This is an ability based from this commander. So 100 manpower and 10 fuel will improve the durability of the fortification. Once researched, it will have increased health and armor. Spicy. Okay, I mean, look, you cannot fight here. I think just go the other way. Get out on the map. Grab this. I think you have to, if there's the Axis player, you have to look to secure this area now. That's the plan here for Melon, if you ask me, who still somehow has control over this fuel point. MG bunker here as well. Hilarious. I think this has probably been the most fortifications I've seen used in a game for a long time. This pack gun is actually being super valuable. Mass amounts of repairs coming down on this mortar pit to try and save it. Another pack gun is going to be built, and that makes a lot of sense here. This mortar tube will eventually beat the pack gun, though, if it wants to fire at it. He's actually shelling down structures right now, which I don't agree with. Ostwind going to probe back in here. That forces the quarter pounder to rotate. This is a lot of manpower that is tied up just like lugging sandbags around. Look at this. Look at these sandbag luggers. Okay, so the pack gun feels like it has to stop firing. Okay, now you've got two pack guns. Give it another go, mate. I think with two pack guns, you can definitely DACA this mortar tube emplacement down. Just don't cluster your pack guns. That will be bad.
Enemy causing trouble.
What a weird game. And finally, yes, there are grenadiers and stormtroopers out on the map, and a mortar tube is being added in. So the Axis war machine making the adjustments it needs to counter this play. Hang on a second, he lost the Ostwind. Oh, I totally didn't notice that. Sorry, my bad. So I can only assume that the Ostwind here got taken out by the quarter pounder AT gun plus the fire from the BOFORs. My bad. Sorry, that wasn't on camera, but that's what occurred. Is that a second mortar pit? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. You have to kill this mortar pit now. With two mortar pits, I don't think any amount of pack guns is ever going to work. You have to do it now. Do it. Do it now. The GR34 is going to be invaluable here. It's also going to vet up very quickly. This Vickers gun appears to be an offering here. It's going to fall back. That's nice. Right, but pack guns are very clustered here. This is the problem with clustering your pack guns. Can they reinforce from here? They can reinforce from here, actually. A real battle of attrition as both players able to repair, reinforce, rearm, and shoot each other from the same position, which is like very rare that you get these kinds of gaming company periods too. Here comes an artillery barrage here. That will be the precision barrage. 200 munitions. That's going to kill an MG42. It'll probably get dinged off by the quarter pounder here, so that is actually a material loss here for the Axis player. Pack guns creep back in though, and they get one of the mortar pits. This is what I'm on about. Now with one of the mortar pits down, these two pack guns ought to be able to clear the rest, because I think you really need two mortar pits to reliably beat the two pack guns, and now that that is not going to be happening, I think you can clear out the other mortar pit, and then you can start doing okay as the Wehrmacht player. That is a shit ton of mines here. Holy spoons. That is a lot of mines. Jeez. Alright then. PanzerGrenadierangrifen loves a bit of mines. It's going to start building another mortar pit back here, and this makes a bit more sense because the pack guns can't really shoot here so easily, but this GR34 is inflicting losses, getting damage done. Already 2 stars of veterans here. I knew that thing was going to vet up fast. This thing just firing for value. Cannot miss against this emplacement. And you know what, actually, the one thing that this commander lacks here for Melon is any kind of munitions dump artillery ability. Oh wow, that was a Tommy squad defeated. Cromwell, a rather splendid one, going to be the tank choice here for Angrifen, but what a weird game. I barely know what I'm casting here. It's just been so bizarre. Alright, so the Axis player has 2 VPs, the bleed is back on, the scoreline opening up, and it is going to be a problem here. 200 tickets now separating these players, and Angrifen behind. Also, Angrifen has effectively suffered, like, if you count the mortar pits as a squad wipe, because they are approximately that expensive, and you count the BOFORs as a squad wipe, because again, it is about that expensive. He also lost some Tommies. So over this last phase of play, that's like 1, 2, 3, like 4-ish, maybe 5 squads worth of units and value has been lost from this British army. And finally, this position here has been cracked by the Wehrmacht forces. Melon here putting together a wonderful display of how to calmly, precisely deal with British fortifications that are creeping into your base. Just calmly putting together the 2 pack guns, getting the GR34. I think those are all nice decisions. Honestly, I think the GR34 optional. Didn't need it to bust out, but nice to have, and it will continue to be a valuable piece in this game as the game goes on. Cromwell here going to come forward, and this is the one thing I think keeping Angrifen in this game. Remember the scoreline though still opening up, and that's possibly going to be the game deciding factor here. Panzer IV going to be the second armoured choice here for Melon. That one's going to be on the field here in a minute, and we're going to kind of come into a sort of bizarrely delayed mid-game because both players have invested so many resources and lost so many units this game are in and around this fortified British position that actually, even though we're 23 minutes into the game and you might expect to be seeing Tiger tanks and so forth in the field, like, because both players have had so much value just sort of obliterated from their armies, we're kind of weirdly at this 23-minute game where if you look at these army in the top left, top right, this could easily be a sort of 13-minute old game. Because it's like Cromwell versus Panzer IV, couple of AT guns in the game, couple of core infantry squads on each side. You know, this game effectively, besides the scoreline, which is very skewed in the Axis favour, is kind of like about 10 or 12 minutes younger. It appears 10 or 12 minutes younger than it really is. So, an interesting dynamic. I cannot remember possibly ever casting a game like this. And I'm really... My hat goes off to PanzerGrenadierangrifen, if I'm honest. Oh, okay, so the slew of mines here are going to be catching this Panzer IV out, and that ought to be a dead Panzer IV. This Cromwell with the tank commander will not miss a shot at this range, and that is that. Alright. Well, that's what Angrifen needs to do to get back in this game, for sure. Angrifen as well, stacking a ton of fuel. Has there been a choice of hammer or anvil? No. But could go for a firefly. That seems excessive right now. Oh wow, the Cromwell actually even going to pressure the base here. Fair enough. Where are the pack guns? Scrambling back home. He's probably going to get this MG bunker, which is nice. Interesting stuff. Alright, now you have to get this Cromwell out of here now. The pack guns will not take prisoners. Jeez. It's like addition. There is such a minefield out here. This is unreal. So many mines. And it's worth pointing out, there is no metal detector on the Axis roster right now, so these mines are very, very real threats. Stormtroopers getting out on the map. They're going to pick up a 3-star Vickers. Lovely. So both players just trading here. Both players battered, bloody, and bruised, but still exchanging punches. This GR34 coming up for its 3rd star of veterancy presently. Going to be pretty nice. Alright. That sounds like the British base firing away. Is that some 20-pounder hooning? Oh no, it can't be. What is this? Oh, it is 20-pounder. So what has called this in then? Because these guys can't call that in. Can the tank call in artillery? No. I'm not entirely certain how those 20-pounder rounds are coming in. Oh wow, Angrifen trying to go for a bit of a knockout blow here actually, coming on into the base. Where are the pack guns? Oh geez, they're just miles out of position. They're probably going to get caught out by some Tommies here. Oh, all the Tommies are under the arc of this MG bunker. The Cromwell gets hit by a Faust, so its engine is stricken. Takes a hit from a pack gun there, but it ought to be able to limp away intact here. But this pressure is so real from Angrifen. It feels like this entire game, he's not really been caring about the scoreline so much, or the map so much. Really just wants to destroy the Axis player's base. That is a route to victory, just not one we often see taken. Oh, now the Cromwell will die. Yikes. Why didn't he just retreat it this way? I don't understand. Well, he's going to rebuild that Cromwell straight away, but I'm not quite sure I agree with the decision-making that led to that Cromwell being destroyed. Why don't you just keep limping it away down to this direction and escape through here? Not quite sure. Okay then. Alright. How much do you like mines? Oh!
Damned enemies trying to take it away from us.
Oh, that is quite the minefield. Jeez, well that's a Stormtrooper squad off the roster there. Angrifen there converting munitions into material losses for his Axis opponent. Very nicely done. Tommy's back out on the map doing Tommy things. The Axis player finally going to reconnect a fuel point here momentarily. And actually, you know what? I say reconnect. He's had this fuel point for so long. So it's been kind of a crazy game, to be honest. And the Tommy Blob here, rampaging through mid. Still no Bren guns. I would love to see weapon racks. Angrifen has some munitions here that he could definitely convert into like super devastating weapons on these Tommies. Panzer IV on the queue. The Cromwell already out and fighting. Panzer Commander upgrade ought to, sorry, Tank Commander upgrade ought to come down on that unit. Boys from Wales get displaced here. The pack guns are going to scurry down this way to meet the Cromwell. If he's smart now, he can strafe this Cromwell around through here up to here and evade those pack guns. Tommy's trading out for damage from heavy cover here. Pack guns, yeah, just in time to not get any shots on this Cromwell, so that's rather annoying. British base emplacements are firing in over here. There we go, getting some shots of these artillery guns firing away. What is causing them to fire? I'm honestly not sure. Like, I'm so bad at UKF apparently. None of these units have the fire designation flares. I know that various other units can get them. Like the British sniper can call them in and things like that, but like none of these units actually appear to have a way of calling those in, so I am just like not very good at the game. Somebody who is more knowledgeable can correct me in the comments, tell me exactly what's going on. Oh, Tommy squad going to sneak away there. 167 tickets now for Angrifen, under the 284 for Melon. It is Melon who's bleeding right now, but only slowly. Cromwell versus Panzer IV here in the east. And it's going to be another Cromwell added onto the roster here for Angrifen, committing to the medium tank strats. Oh wow, this would be a nice spot for his artillery actually if he wants to take it. Tommy's here in jeopardy. That's a lot of fire they're under. Panzer IV gets one more shot. but it won't be enough to wipe the veteran Tommies. God, what a strange game this one has turned out to be. Difficult to know what to say about this one. So, okay, well, it will be another Cromwell. I mean, I don't know if that's a good idea or not. I suppose it is, probably. How is he firing these shots? Oh, counter battery. Oh, well, for a start, they're 25-pounders. I've been calling them 20-pounders this whole game. Whoops. And 25-pounder howitzers and mortar pits will now have access to the counter barrage ability. When active, they will fire an off-map artillery barrage at all visible enemy artillery units. Oh, so this GR34 is actually attracting the wrath of the counter barrage. Wow. Okay, well, there we go. I'm living and learning. A little bit more about this commander figured out. Cromwell here going to encounter a number of Axis units here on the west. Pack guns immediately putting some big holes into it. Faust will come through off of these grenadiers, I imagine. Wow, no Faust. Oh, there's the Faust, just very slow. Panzer IV in pursuit here, rear armour exposed on the Cromwell. Smoke round comes down. Where's the other Cromwell? Kind of need it in the hood here to save this tank. Oh wow, it's miles away, so this ought to be a dead Cromwell, really. Artillery barrage comes down here, onto his own Cromwell. It's a bit risky, mate! Arrgh! Arrgh! Okay. We'll lose the Cromwell there. The artillery kind of looking like a bit of a waste, to be honest. Now the Cromwell comes in to try and get a counter-tank kill, and it will. The Panzer IV goes down, but the two pack guns are in the hood, so, wow, everybody loses all their armour, but that's a pretty good trade for the Axis commander when the British player had two tanks. And now, we're back into this weird situation where both players have sort of, like, early mid-game compositions. Because this has been such an intensely brutal sort of turf war of trading units and trading value and just taking losses for both players. Jesus, this GR34 is being so good now. That hit just took off so much health off of these Royal Engineers. They're not moving either, they're so clustered up. What are these boys from Wales up to? Oh, they're in a trench, this is why. Erg, we need to get them out of there, they are dying horribly. And Griffin, I'm not sure if he's paying attention. The barrage is coming down off of that GR34. Okay, he gets them out of there, that's got to be a fallback, there it comes. Stormtroopers emerging over here, they're gonna grab the fuel, and that is valuable, very, very valuable. Pioneers here going to deny this fuel as well, so Melon, cognizant of the fact that they need to play the fuel game here, and that makes a lot of sense. Stormtroopers actually now beginning to get the MP40 packages, so looking to counter this very potent British infantry. Cromwell just coming in a little bit, doesn't quite overextend, gets in quite deep, but not too deep. Got to look out because there's like 5 stars of veterancy over these two pack guns out there, and that's pretty scary stuff. Another Cromwell going to be coming out here, and the Cromwell is such a good tank. How much is it? Like 100 fuel? 110? 110 fuel, yeah. What a great medium tank the Cromwell is for that money. With the tank commander on it, it's fast, accurate. Basically, it's a Panzer IV which costs a little bit less, you know, and that has got to be a great unit, hasn't it? So. Let's have a look here at the teching for Melon. Okay, Battle Phase 3 has been taken. No sign of heavy Panzer Corps, and we're miles away from Tiger Money. Cromwell here gonna shove these stormtroopers away, and that ought to open up this area of the map for British troops to come in and grab that fuel, and hopefully the VP. And Griffin under the bleed again. 155 tickets remaining. Honestly, I'm finding this game very hard to sort of I mean, I'm just describing what's going on, but I'm not really doing much sort of analysis or prediction or anything like that, because it's just not very often you see a game turn out this way. Once again, we've got a Cromwell in the base just shooting for damage. He's going for the medical bunker. That makes a ton of sense. Oh, I like that. Prioritizing the medical bunker is very smart, but now the pack guns show up. Oh, he's actually going to opt to come in rather than getting away safely. Really? I don't know about this. It's just a medical bunker. A Cromwell's worth considerably more. You don't want to get your tank trapped in here. That's the thing. He will get it out safely. Whew. Okay, heavy Panzer Corps comes down. So there's not very much fuel for Melon right now to make a choice from that building. So I don't think that heavy Panzer Corps is going to be turbo relevant over the next couple of minutes of this game, unless the Axis player is able to secure double fuel somehow. But that doesn't appear to be a reality. This Cromwell just gets taken out by creeping pack guns with a Panzerschreck toting stormtrooper here. You can take the MP40s and the anti-tank combat package. That is news to me. Axis troops here coming through and getting the cutoff. Very nice there for Melon. But I feel like this is a game... Well, hang on now, actually. Angrifen is largely caught up on the scoreline, so... This game is kind of pretty even. If he loses this Cromwell, things stop looking so even. But he actually gets a lot of troops up on top of the pack guns, gets one of them. And that's great, because he's just knocking the veterancy off these pack guns alone is worth it. Counter battery artillery comes down on this mortar.
Our lines of supply are disrupted.
Oh no, just large amounts of units getting wiped over here. I think that was a unit of Grenadiers and a unit of Stormtroopers lost there. How does Angrifen keep doing this? Like, he just seems so able to throw the Axis player back into his base and throw his forces into disarray. This is so rough for Melon to deal with. MG42 gets pushed out. That was the only Axis unit that was like out on the map. Jeez, what a game. I mean, has Melon run out of steam? I mean, you could buy a Panzerwerfer, but how much is a Brumbar? No, you're miles off of a Brumbar. What a rough place to be in as Melon. I feel like this is really tough for Melon, especially because to have defeated the forward British position here, and to have knocked out the early attempts at BOFORs here, I really feel like Melon has played very well and kind of, I really think, deserves to be in a better looking late game than this. But having had a couple of Panzer IVs taken out, losing the Ostwind, I mean, this is a tough game here for both players. 149 tickets for Angrifen, finally ahead on the scoreline. I just never thought I was going to say that this game. I thought he was either going to win by breaking his opponent's army, destroying his base, but certainly not by an attrition over time on the scoreline. Now we find ourselves in a game that's likely to conclude around about the 45-minute mark, perhaps, assuming that nobody takes any particularly massive swing, and it's going to be on scoreline. It's going to come down to scrabbling for these victory points. And to that end, I think it's going to be tanks and machine guns that are going to decide this game, and core infantry squad wipes. And because those are the relevant units, also, therefore, pack guns and quarter pounder AT guns are going to be super relevant for deciding who wins the armor battle. If you win the armor battle, it's very hard for your opponent to choose which victory points they can hold, or to hold on to any victory points. Tommy's in jeopardy here. 2 squads of G43 equipped stormtroopers in the hood. Oh no, that ought to be a squad wipe. They're running past a lot of units here. Going to run straight through the arc of a Vickers gun as well. This is what I mean. Core infantry squad wipes you cannot be sustaining those right now.
We are losing a sector.
So Melon there getting a nice pickup. Is literally a tied game now. 137 apiece there for a second. Still no weapon racks from Angrifen. Just crazy stuff. These engineers getting in, doing some nice damage on these pack guns, running in with the Sten guns. The boys from Wales, one of the better engineer units in a fight. Not Storm Pioneers, but not far off. With 5 men, that's a lot of firepower at closer ranges. And now this wounded Cromwell, trying to escape, being stalked by pack guns. And there's just no support here. Those pack guns are going to get into range. Here comes the shot. That's a dead Cromwell, very nicely done. PanzerGrenadierangrifen spends his fuel replacing that. But we've seen a lot of Cromwells go down this game, and each of them represent a major swing in the forces in this game. And now we're at the stage where when this Cromwell comes out, it could well be met with a Schwer Panzer unit, like a heavy Panzer Corps unit. I mean, we're a ways off of Brumbar, but it could be met with... Sorry, we're a ways off of Panther. But it could be met with a Brumbar. That's actually not very good against a Cromwell. In fact, that's just not a very good unit generally. Although one could argue, in a super late game, where the score lines are very depleted, and it's going to come down to boots on ground pushing for VPs, perhaps having a Brumbar on Overwatch does make it almost impossible for your opponent to secure that VP until the Brumbar is dealt with somehow, or pushed away. So, look, I'm just trying to make a case for my buddy Mr. Brumbar, okay? Great unit, never used. Probably because it's not that great, but I like him. Alright, well the 150 fuel is there. If it's going to be a Brumbar, it'll probably be soon. Or Melon may opt to save for a Panther, but I wonder if a Panther will actually arrive in time to have much use, to do very much in this game. British forces going to get on top of this victory point, and that is much needed. A triple cap here momentarily established for Melon. So nice work there. These pack guns have been pulling so much weight this game. This Cromwell just playing with fire, taking pack gun rounds out there. Axis Vickers gun doing work, mowing down and suppressing Tommies. From a forward, that's a British gun in a British position, firing on British troops there. And let's just check the GR34. 13 kills, 3 stars of veterancy reached long ago. I imagine we'll see some counter battery artillery flying into that unit momentarily. And alright, the Cromwell remains alive. 2 squads of Royal Engineers. Okay, weapon racks are finished. Bren guns are appearing now. So that is a shot in the arm for these British forces. That is some much needed power being added in. With those Bren guns, they'll be much better at holding VPs and deterring Axis approaches when they come to claim the VPs. Those Bren guns are literally game-changing stuff here for the UK forces. God, this is such a strange game. GR34 doing its best. Honestly, I wouldn't use these fighting positions. It just packs your infantry models together. Look how much damage. It's like 3 or 4 shells to kill a 3-star squad because of these fighting positions. I honestly think this GR34 makes the fighting positions not worth it. Is he going to lose this squad? He's got to be paying attention. They're so low. He gets the fallback. That's crucial. Cannot be sustaining additional losses. Another GR34 getting added in. Wow. Melon is either a genius or a fool, recognizing just how valuable these GR34, his existing GR34 has been. But the reason why this is possibly foolish is that mortar squads really tend to only pay for themselves in games where they're alive for a longer period of time. And this game just really can't have much longer to go. 100 tickets for Angrifen, under 104 for Melon. So a mortar tube right now is a ballsy purchase. Still probably going to be quite useful, to be honest. I mean, we're going to have to see how this pans out, but I mean, they are quite good at defending victory points. Well, I mean, they're okay. I don't know if this is a good choice or not. I feel like a broken caster here. I just don't even know what I'm seeing. Pack guns find the wounded Cromwell. And that will be destroyed. Oh no, these Cromwells are looking pretty bad, to be honest. I think it's time to bring in, what is it called? The, oh my god, I literally am a broken caster. The unit I'm looking for is American. You cannot build Scott motor carriages if you select United Kingdom forces. Whoops. Oh dear. Okay, I mean, every unit, every victory point counts. Oh, the boys from Wales will go down. Gibbed. This Vickers gun is... Sorry, that's an MG42. And these Pioneers putting together the killing blow on those boys from Wales in rapid order there. And both players just scrambling for these victory points. Angrifen right now with the momentary lead, 17 tickets ahead. I like this Axis composition better, though. 2 machine guns apiece, but the Axis player has much more core infantry. Well, okay, he has 1 more squad of core infantry, but he has 2 mortars, 2 pack guns. And we've seen just how effective those are being. Is that a Centaur? Okie dokie. Honest, real talk here, don't like the Centaur. The reason being is it's just slower than a Cromwell. And right now, I think it's the speed of the vehicle that's the important factor, because you're really using it to police victory points. It doesn't particularly matter. As long as you can be effective against infantry, it doesn't matter if you're very effective or just effective against infantry. What matters is having the speed to get away from pack guns and get away from being fausted and kite units. And I think that the Centaur is just a little bit more susceptible to being cut down by pack guns, if I'm honest. However, it is a very strong infantry deterrent, and this is a game about infantry capturing victory points, so Angrifen's choice here may yet prove to have merit. I could be wrong. I just feel like another Cromwell is... Okay, he's going to pair up this Centaur with a Cromwell because he has so much money. That's okay. These GR34s, by the way, are just providing value. That's a Tiger Ace! Oh, yikes. I hadn't noticed that Melon actually had the money for the Tiger Ace. Well, no. No, ah, no! Well, then he needs a Firefly. How do you win? That's game, yeah. Angrifen knows it. I think, honestly, if that Tiger Ace had come out like 30 seconds earlier, then Angrifen would have cancelled the Centaur and gotten a Firefly, and we definitely still have a game. But as it is, the Centaur finished, therefore concreting the investment of fuel. Obviously, you cannot return a Centaur once it's on the battlefield. You can't cancel it and get your money back. And then, the Centaur is obviously terrible against a Tiger Ace. Like, just does nothing. And then we're talking about, okay, just ignore the Centaur. Then we're talking about, like, these 6 units versus this army. And Angrifen declines to recognize the possibility of a victory there. And I'm inclined to agree with him. I don't really see how you can win. Once you buy this Centaur, you're priced out of having a Firefly. There's not enough time left in the game to get a Firefly. And therefore, I think that is essentially checkmate here. And Angrifen recognizes it, leaves the game. What a cool game. I really enjoyed this game. A lesser-seen faction, UKF, running a lesser-seen commander, the Advanced Emplacement Regiment Doctrine, on a map where the faction and the commander can both shine. Angrifen, taking a gambit in the early game, goes for BOFORs research, which is so rarely seen I didn't even check for it. Starts building BOFORs out on the front. Melon, to their credit, identifies that the BOFOR is being built. I don't know if that was luck or if he had some inkling or whatever, but in a world where that first BOFOR goes up, this game looks so different. But he did deny the first BOFOR. I think he even denied the second one. And both forces... I mean, like, Melon recognised that if Angrifen is ever able to establish a forward fortified position here, the game is so difficult for the Axis player. So both players invested so much into defending or attacking this position that there were, like, the squad attrition rate was so high that we were kind of almost stuck at mid-game tech until, like, the 45-minute mark when this Tiger came out. Like, it was essentially kind of a weirdly prolonged mid-game because both players were trading so heavily and losing and killing units so fast. There was a moment, of course, when Angrifen was able to establish a position here with a BOFOR and 2 mortar pits, or a number of mortar pits, and 2 forward positions, and I really was very worried for Melon at that point. That's a very difficult place to come out from under. But Melon was able to do that, using pack guns to pick down the emplacements from range. I think perhaps... I mean, building the mortar pits here is really good because it lets you throw shells into, crucially, this spot right here where the Axis forces fall back to. That maximizes your chance of getting squad wipes and it makes life just hell for the opposing player. But... by building the mortar pits here, it actually meant that the pack guns could take shots from around about here into those mortar pits whilst being reinforced, which basically means that the mortar pits have to get incredibly lucky to wipe those pack guns. So I would hypothesize, I would suggest that if Angrifen builds those mortar pits, like, instead of here, builds them like here... okay, you don't get to shell right here. You do get to shell pretty much everything leaving the Axis base from about here onwards. You don't get to put shells in this exact position, and that is a big difference, but you don't get to, and I think... so that is a drawback of what I'm suggesting. But by putting the mortar pits here, you still substantially get to shell everything that goes into this area of the map. You still get to substantially defend this position, and it means that if the pack guns want to be taking shots into your mortar pits, they have to come far enough away from the Axis base that they cannot reinforce. So they'd have to creep to about here, I think, if they wanted to hit here. In fact, they might even have to creep a little further. So I would suggest to Angrifen, if he was to try this build again, I reckon it would actually be more successful if you just put those mortar pits just a bit further back. I know that makes the mortar pits less effective, but I still think it makes this position effective enough to win the game, whilst also meaning that your opponent's pack guns can't be reinforcing whilst they're taking mortar fire, whilst they're hitting your mortar pits. And if those pack guns are not able to reinforce, I mean, like, the mortar pits just win. If you have those units repairing the mortar pits, then those mortar pits will destroy the pack gun crews very quickly, without the reinforcements constantly coming out into those pack guns. So there's an idea anyway. I love this idea. This reminds me of a lot of games I've played as UKF and a lot of games I've played as OKW back in the day, where you try and establish a concrete forward position on your opponent using emplacements and structures. In the case of OKW, it's using a forward battle group at HQ in the early game to apply pressure and then enable you to set down a forward Schwerpanzer HQ with the flak turret and things like that. Now, I know OKW don't quite work today the way they used to back in the day, so we don't see OKW players trying that so often. But anyway, what I'm saying is I have a special place in my heart for these kind of like almost like siege tactics where you are trying to establish a concrete position far forward. And you can see Angrifen here. This is a good map for it. I don't think you'd try this on most other maps. But Angrifen not afraid to take that tool out of his kit and attempt to use it here. And I think with a little more polish, this build could definitely work. And to some extent, I think he was unlucky. That first BOFOR getting spotted and then eliminated. A little unlucky for Angrifen there. But what can I say? Melon here putting together a masterful game, a well-deserved victory. The commander choice here, undeniably effective. Stormtroopers were able to be emerging from structures and taking points all around the map at relevant times, denying relevant resources. The upgrades on those Stormtroopers paid dividends. The G43s getting multiple kills, getting just a lot of DPS. We saw squad wipes being inflicted by the Stormtroopers. What else did we see? Well, we saw the Tiger Ace, of course. The other upgrades, not super relevant, it didn't seem, in this game from this commander. And honestly, I think you could have done well with another commander under these same circumstances. I think although he was able to get value out of elite troops, it wasn't a super well adapted commander. But then you don't often anticipate that you'll come up against this crazy forward fortification style from the UKF player. So I think Melon just chose this commander expecting to play a slightly more normal looking game, and then when he was forced to play a very weird looking game by Angrifen's tactics, I think, you know, then the value of this commander was sort of ameliorated at that point to some extent. So, wow, just a cool game. Another one that I am super happy to have casted. Wishing you all a very Merry Christmas. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be coming to you guys probably somewhat soonish with more Company of Heroes 2 and some other games too. And looking forward to what the new year is going to bring. So, yeah, this for now will be Magpie 842 signing out.